Hello, hello, hello. I know it's been a good minute since I last been on here. Yeah, so I took a break from doing YouTube videos for a little while to focus on other things. You got to focus on your personal life, responsibility, or whatnot. Okay. So I want to get on here because I have a title, an interesting title that I want to talk about. And this is go to the atheist community, the Black Atheists. It's called Dear Black Atheists. That's the title. Now, some of you may wonder, well, why the Black atheist community? And there's a reason why. Because a lot of times, these individuals are the biggest critiques in the Black community. They are the biggest critics of the Black community. And the main thing they attack is people's religion ideology. And I understand in certain cases why many of them don't believe or don't want to follow certain principles. But some of them can become as zealot as those who are in the religious community. And it's so interesting that many of them claim to be scientifically literate, right? Or dealing with science. But, I have a few things I want to ask to the atheist community. Now, I know you guys feel the way that you do about the religious community, and that's fine. But what type of program have the atheist community provided for the Black community? What type of educational program have the atheist community provided for the Black community? That's what I like to know. What type of economic resources have the Black atheist community provided for the Black community in general? What type of economic resources? Because I see that many have identified themselves as socialists, communists, right? Socialist, communists. And you guys put out a lot of idealism, but my question is, where's the pragmatism? Where's the pragmatism at for all these idealism you have? And I want to know because I have yet to see Black atheists collectively put up a major fight for the Black community. I have yet to see that. But you guys are the biggest critics when it comes to those who are in the religious community. And like I said, certain things you write on. But if we look at the history of what those in the religious community have done, it's a long list. Let's look at the HBCUs, for example. Half of the HBCUs was founded by those who were AME Christians. Can't you name one HBCU school that was founded by Black atheists? Because what y'all seem to be known for is identified as socialists and communists. But you guys complain about religious people all the time, but you find yourself being around them a lot. I don't understand. Or you complain about those who have spirituality or believe in some type of spiritual natural forces or whatnot, but you constantly be around them, and I don't know why. Somebody put, Extremism is a very Western, regardless if they are theists or not. Okay, I'm gonna get back to that comment. But I'm just asking. I just want to know because I'm curious. I'm very curious. When are you guys gonna ever implement the socialist and communist ideas that you have into the Black community? How you guys gonna go about doing it? And then another thing that kills me about those that are Black atheists, right? When it comes to the scientific community, right? You guys act like as if you are the main people of the scientific world or that deals with scientific ideology. You guys act as if you guys are the experts of science. I've noticed that. And a lot of you guys are not. You guys are not the expert of science like you think. I've taken notice of that very well. A lot of Black atheists act like because they study science that they are more top notch and they are greater and they're better than anybody else. And you have an attitude that you tend to look down on somebody who may not be atheists. You look down on somebody who may think otherwise, who may have their own subjective view about life, which is no different than the religious counterparts that you criticize. Because you guys do the same thing. The only difference is you happen to go under the notion or under the concept of not believing in a God. But you're doing exactly the same thing that the religious people that you claim are doing, looking down on others. Now, not all of you are doing that. Don't get me wrong, not all of you. Some of you are very genuine. But then the rest of y'all look down on the rest like you greater, like you much better. And y'all very biased. Oh, yes, y'all are definitely biased. I had a person, I had a person tell me that I was pseudo at one point because I believe in the concept of pantheism. And what is pantheism? Pantheism is dealing with the universe being one with God. I was told that I was pseudo for having my own belief that God is at the center of the universe. But these same people tell you that, oh, there's no supernatural power. Well, how do you know? How do you know what's out there? How do you know? What do you even know what the dark matter is or dark energy is? Because the universe is 75% dark energy and 25% dark matter. So do you know what it is? Do you know what those things are? No, we don't even know. So it's still a mystery. So if we agree that universe have life, the cosmos, like the stars and sun, have life, right? If we agree with that, then the question becomes what's behind these things? The best answer is I don't know, because we don't know, but we can only say what we believe. But you guys are so quick to call people pseudo. Or you guys so quick to throw people under the bus. Which is quite interesting to me. Let me read this. Well, religious population are much larger than non-believers. Okay, cool. I'm not knocking that. But what I'm saying is if the non-believer believers are very active, Why don't they come to the forefront? That's all I'm asking. As long as people don't assert their subjective views as facts, then we should all be good. But here we are. Okay, and it's not about that. A person is not going to put their views out there and say, hey, this is absolutely true. But if you say what I believe, keyword I believe does not mean that I know or is true. It's based on subjectivity. It's based on your perception. Okay, when you say you believe something, right, that's based on your subjectivity or your perception. That doesn't mean you have the absolute answer to everything. Right? Because you don't. Because you don't know. Your knowledge is very limited. If you had all the answer, you will be able to solve 95% of the problem in the world. Or you'll be able to solve 100% of the problem in the world. But you can't. Now let's get to the next thing that I noticed. Why don't you guys talk about health? If you guys are so in tune with science, right? Why don't you guys bring up health? I'm asking because let's see, there are those who are in the spiritual circle that practice holistic healing or whatnot. They often get criticized and get called pseudo because of the fact that they're trying to implement ways to bring about holistic healing or bringing some type of health awareness to the Black community. And not saying that they all got the answers right, because they don't have all the answers correct. They all don't know everything, but they do what they can to try to help people. But here's the individuals from the Black atheist community that will be quick to throw them on the bus and say they're pseudo. Their knowledge is pseudo. So if their knowledge about health is pseudo, why don't you talk enough about health? Why don't you talk about health to where people can really start putting that into focus, make it their priority? Because I think the most revolutionary thing to do is talk about health. And I'm not just talking about COVID-19 either, because it goes beyond COVID-19. There's other viruses and bacteria infection out there. Why don't you guys bring up the topic about diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer, environmental health condition? Or why don't you talk more about mental health? Since what everybody else is doing is pseudo, right? Why not bring all of that to the forefront? Why don't you guys talk about different dietary? Why y'all don't talk about all the different dietaries out there? Why you don't discuss about the mind diet, the keto diet? How people should be able to learn how to eat and balance and live. How people should be able to learn how to harmonize with nature. How people should be able to find inner peace within themselves. Why you guys don't talk about that? Huh? And if you don't believe me, I can give you some example what people done said was pseudo out their own mouths. I done heard people say this book right here was pseudo. The Hood Health Handbook. And this particularly came from those in the Black atheist community. So my question is, This book teaches about wellness, right? What type of solution would you have to bring about wellness to the Black community? Besides saying it is pseudo. Because I could tell you, people who read this book, they said this book saved their lives. It saved them. It helped them to get on the right path. It was their start. It was their journey to maintaining good diet. And this is the part one right here. This book is part one. And I'm going to tell you what else I heard. I done heard people give this woman criticism, say she was pseudo. This is Queen Afua. She read a book called Heal Thyself. Now, maybe you talking about she pseudo because of the fact that she practiced Khmerism. But her whole purpose is to give people rite of passage. It's to try to help, especially women, to go through their process of healing because they dealt with so many trauma. That's all this woman tried to do. She tried to help people. Her and her late ex-husband, Baba Heru, may he rest in peace. They tried to do the work of helping people. They tried to give people wellness. This woman here, Queen Afua, she been a vegan for a very long time. And she's been doing it since the 70s. You know, people study Reiki, yoga, meditation, acupuncture. And the first thing that I done heard from the Black atheist community, regarding to those things, they all are pseudo. And they have no way of actually proving it to be pseudo because I can guarantee you that a lot of them ain't never done it. A lot of those people never got into those concepts. They never studied meditation, yoga, Reiki. And for those of you that don't know what Reiki is like a form of massage, okay? So basically what you see people doing, right, when they massaging people, they put their hands over them like this because it's supposed to help give them energy, bring them back to life, so to speak. So, and then sometimes you'll see where they put the stones on their backs and stuff. That's Reiki. But there's people that say that is pseudo. So how do people supposed to work out? How's people supposed to maintain good health? How's people is supposed to go through weight loss? What would be your solution? Let me go further. Now, I am not a fan of this person, okay? Which is one of the reasons why I did not join the Nation of Islam. Because I'm not a fan of this individual. However, after reading some of the chapters in this book, I could say that the information is very useful. So this book right here, How to Eat to Live by Elijah Muhammad. Now, again, you know, regardless how I may feel about Elijah Muhammad and my thoughts on him, I could say that this book is very useful. And I know a lot of brothers and sisters who have been members of the Nation of Islam was able to use this book and maintain longevity on their health. They was able to maintain longevity on their health. But y'all gonna go out here and say, oh, this is pseudo. Hmm. I know brothers and sisters in the Islamic community, not in the nation, but just in Orthodox Islam, that maintain good health and they have longevity. So my thing is, you telling me somebody telling you eat fruits and vegetables, nuts, and eat and cut back on a certain amount of meat is pseudo, right? So if somebody say, all right, it would be best for you to eat fruits and vegetables and cut back on a certain type of meat, cut back on certain type of bread, stay away from a lot of junk food, which you was told to do anyhow growing up as a kid. You was told not to eat too much candy because it's gonna rot your teeth out or it's gonna cause you to have diabetes, right? You're telling me that's pseudo? You're telling me that that's not a legitimate reason to be healthy? And you expect for me or anybody else to believe that you're scientifically literate? I mean, if we look up the statistics of blood pressure, right, it's significantly high in our community. Diabetes is very high. Poor eating habits is one of the reasons why so many of us have high blood pressure and diabetes and high cholesterol. So forget about this man right here. Because like I said, I don't care too much for this man. But let's just look at the information that's being presented about maintaining good health and wellness. Let's talk about it. Let's go into it. All right, for example, in this book, he talks about bread. He said, eat whole wheat, but not the whole grain. It is too much for the digestive system. Eat wheat, never white flour, which has been robbed of all its natural vitamins and proteins sold separately as cereals. You know as well as I that the white race is a commercializing people and they do not worry about the lives they jeopardize so long as the dollar is safe. You might find yourself eating death if you follow them. He flatly forbid us to eat cornbread. The white race and some African people used to live off cornbread because it is cheaply made. It is not good for human consumption because of its potency, which only animal stomachs are able to digest. Positively, do not eat cornbread. If you must or are forced to eat it, he said to cook it 2 or 3 times. Put it up, sour it with a good yeast, dice onions into it, and let it ferment like wheat bread. After this, cook it 2 or more 3 times. Never eat fresh hot corn muffins or hot cakes and syrup. When you eat half cooked bread, it shortens your life, as all bread will rise again in our stomachs, buckling our stomach and intestinal walls. The more it is cooked, the less this will happen. Rye bread, if it is cooked enough, is fine to eat. It is not good for office people. They are not active enough to digest such a bread. It is good for a working man doing manual labor. Office workers should not even eat baked beans nor beans with rice and meat in them, because their jobs do not permit them enough activity to digest such heavy foods. All right, now some of the things might be a little far-fetched in this book, as far as like office people should not eat beans and whatnot. But the concept of eating bread, hell, you was even told not to eat white bread because white bread is not as healthy as wheat bread. So I'm trying to understand, when people have their own dietary laws, what make it so pseudo? What makes it so pseudo to have dietary laws to bring about longevity? But if it makes you feel better, here's a book by an actual doctor. Black Health Matters. And I can guarantee what is in this book, right, can pretty much vouch what this man is saying in this book right here. Because what this guy talks about, he goes into various type of disease, viruses, and he tell you certain stuff that you should not eat. So help me, Black Atheist community, to better understand you. What type of practical solution do you really have to offer for the Black community in general? No, what type of solution do you really have to offer for the Black community in general? If everything else is not working, is no good, what type of solution would you offer? Because if you can't offer nothing, then you might as well just keep your mouth closed, because there ain't nothing you can say. You might as well just keep your mouth closed and keep it moving. Because if you can't offer nothing, then what the hell is you speaking on it for? Just earlier, so I had put up a post on Facebook, and somebody posted under my comments about Dr. Africa. Okay, Dr. Africa written a book called The African Holistic Health. And I said, well, I might put that in my bucket list. And then there was somebody who came along. I'm assuming this person might be atheist. I don't know. But this person said, don't do it, sis. That book is pseudo. Okay, I understand. But let me determine that. Let me read that for myself and determine what is pseudo, what is not pseudo. Let me determine that. You know, I told that person, I said, I thank you for your comment, but I'm wise enough to know that. I'm wise enough to determine that for myself. And I have seen Dr. Africa's lectures and all of that stuff. Yeah, there was some pseudo things that he put out there. There were some things that was overly exaggerated. But at the same time, Dr. Africa was trying to implement good health to the Black community as much as he knew how. Did he get it right? Hell to no, he didn't get everything right. But that doesn't mean that I should not read his book because you say it's pseudo. Because, see, I know how to look at something, pull what I can take out of there, and leave the rest to be. If the information is useful, I could take some of the information and use it. If it's not, then I'll just leave it alone. altogether. See, I'm able to do that. So I don't always need somebody to come along and tell me this is pseudo. Because one of the first thing that's gonna come to my mind is, okay, you may be right. That is pseudo, but what type of solution do you have? What do you have to combat against that? What do you have? What type of solution can you offer for the black community? And how you go about offering that solution? And oh, by the way, I want to say this before I close it out. You guys do know that atheism is a philosophy, right? It's a philosophy just like everything else is. And I'm not trying to take away your rights to be an atheist because you have that right to be. And I totally understand. But I think a lot of y'all became atheists because y'all was angry. Y'all wasn't atheists because you was wondering, you was curious about God or things of that nature, or you want to try something different outside of what you believed in. Nah, I think a lot of y'all became atheists because y'all was angry with your upbringing. That's what I think. I think you guys was upset about how you was raised or what type of environment you came from. And I think you guys was upset with the fact that you have been indoctrinated or you have not been taught spirituality the way that you should have been taught. So it made you guys feel like the hell with it. I'd rather be atheist. So I get it. I understand it. I'm not knocking the fact that you guys choose to be what you guys are because you have the right to make the choice that you want to make. But don't try to act like you're greater than everybody else. Don't try to throw other people on the bus because they're not atheists like you. Don't try to do that because now you creating a problem. You creating that division that you say is already there. You're making it even worse. So you either tolerate people having their own beliefs as long as they're not interfering with your personal life or they're not trying to control or dictate what you're doing, or you just leave those people to be. But anyways, I digress. It was nice chatting with you guys. Hopefully you don't take what I say as being very harmful because that's not my intention. And brother Aaron Jackson, I thank you for coming on here. You all have a wonderful day. Until next time, peace and power and elevation. This your girl Tiffany, and I'm logging off.